Let's get it. You got the boys back together once again.
Oh, that music
I'm gonna
sounds
go
so
ahead and just we're gonna vibe out. We're gonna vibe out to this music right now before we get before we get started. We just gonna give me a second, guys. Hold on. Boom, boom. We gotta get our thoughts together for this podcast. We're back, episode 70. Shout out your boy, Mr. Montreal. He goes on a trip, doesn't know how to act.
He feels international now. So he's like, oh,
I'm international.
Mr. International Julian had a nice trip. Montreal,
he's like the president for FIFA. He's like, I feel like I'm Qatari. I feel Canadian. I feel Montreal. I feel.
He had a tryout.
I feel like
for,
I'm FIFA
for the Toronto Blue Jays. That didn't go well. Tell us
spring training coming up. I'll be back.
How's your sporting experience in Canada, Mr. International?
Got to see the Olympic Park over in Montreal. Got to see the I forgot what they call it. I'm drawing a blank, but the big stadium.
CN Tower?
Pretty. No, that's Toronto.
Oh, sorry.
No, but I got to see the big Olympic stadium. That's what it's called. I don't know why I forgot that, but
Olympic
pretty dope. That's
stadium.
why we ended up missing last week. Combination between Thanksgiving and then me leaving. Couldn't really get the episode out, but we are back and ready for action. We got a lot of things to talk about. Two of the biggest things going on right now is obviously the NFL season is continuing on, and then the biggest event in the world that only happens
once every 4 years.
Once every 4 years. I messed up right there. Once every 4 years is going on.
I thought that was a gimme line.
But we'll get back to that in a second.
And football.
Yeah.
Football and football. Football squared is what we're going to be talking about. Go ahead, Julian.
But we'll start off with the NFL right now. And we can start off with my hometown team, the guy who has been deemed by the football gods as football Jesus. He, with the long, luscious hair, came in with one of the biggest comebacks of the year. And then you got fucking Doug Peterson with his big cojones going for it on two to win it all. And I'm not going to talk so much about the game itself. I mean, you can reference it or whatnot. But I just want to see what your guys' thoughts. Do you guys think that now this is now the point where Trevor Lawrence has turned the corner and now he is going to be recognized from here on out? People will look back at this game and be like, that's the game where he became somebody.
This is the turning point. This is the nexus point for Trevor Lawrence.
This is the turning point, yes.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, Trevor Lawrence has always been, he's been that prototype, coming out of college. Obviously, high prospects since he's been a freshman. I've been watching this kid. I'm like, I want to see this guy in the pros because he has the frame type. He has the winning career, winning repertoire coming out of college. So, yeah, definitely a big game, big week. Finally, the Jags do something, right? I've been trying to bet him. Julian, you've been trying to convince me all year. Oh, the Jags are going to do that. Finally, they actually have a good game. I still don't believe in them. I still feel like this is kind of a wash of a season. But as far as a singular performance for Trevor Lawrence, I mean, that's pretty good. That's kind of what you kind of expect to see, taking that step, like to win in big games, especially in games that nobody expects you to come out of it. I don't know, JoJo, your thoughts on Trevor Lawrence.
JoJo was actually texting me texting the group chat during the game. I guess he got to catch the whole final quarter.
That's a fact. Yeah, so I actually had the pleasure of watching this, and it was crazy, right? So first off, I do think this is the big step for your boy T Law, right? This is the necessary step moving forward. I mean, again, we don't know what's gonna happen in Jax, right? Obviously with the playoff picture and all that, but for him himself and being a number 1 overall draft pick. He had high expectations coming in. We all know what happened last season, that whole fiasco in Jacksonville. But for his performance in crunch time in his fourth quarter, but not to just bring him up the field once, but 2 times, and to execute that 2-point conversion against the Baltimore Ravens, which we all know have been known to give up leads in the fourth quarter. But I'm not going to put that against him. He was composed. The play calling was there. The The passing was there. Like, he was on target. You know what I mean? Like, he didn't fold under pressure. And it was crazy. And shout out Jacksonville defense. You guys missed that as well. They recovered a key fumble in that second to last drive. It was wild.
Yeah, the biggest thing I can hope out of the defense is just have like that bend don't break mentality. Like, you know, you're gonna let them have it, but like when it comes to like those critical moments, you gotta step up. And they did. I mean, obviously the pass rush for Jacksonville is still lackluster. They still can't get any pressure, even though we have 2 first-rounders on the edge. End up being bust. Now coming into next week, you're gonna have number 1 and 2 pick overall go against each other in Jacksonville, Detroit. And I was actually talking to JoJo after the fact that, like, look, is it possible? Yes. Is it likely? No. But Jacksonville now plays Detroit. You win that game against Detroit. Tennessee plays Philly. Tennessee most likely will lose that game. Jacksonville could beat Detroit. Then after that, you're at Tennessee. If you beat Tennessee, you're now 1 game behind for the division race, which with four games left. So now you're back in the hunt. Now you're like, these next 2 games are must wins. And I've been saying it from like since probably week 4. I feel like this team can beat anybody, but then can also lose to anybody.
That's a fact.
Yeah.
I mean,
like,
look, give or take, right?
I'm not surprised that you could beat Baltimore, but I also wouldn't be surprised that you lose to Detroit.
Yeah, I can see that. We can all see that.
Yeah. And especially with Trevor Lawrence, like obviously last year I feel like was a wash. Right, he had the whole experiment with the head coach who we shall not name, some guy on college.
The guy on Fox every Saturday.
The guy on Fox every Saturday.
Who we shall not name.
And I feel like you kind of wasted and watched that season. So, you know, I don't know, Julian. Like, how do you feel? You know, obviously you're talking about you're looking forward to. Like, do you feel like being in the hunt? Like, what is your definition of success so far this season? Right now, they're 4-7. They're tied with the Colts. They're a couple games behind getting in the hunt. Like, what? How do you define success for the Jaguars this season?
Look, obviously, if you can get in the hunt, that's great. I think that'd be a great achievement. But worst case scenario, I think what I'm rooting for is just end the season 500. If you can go 3-3 in the last 6 games, I'll be happy. You end the season with 7 wins. You go 7-10. I think that's a successful season. You have something to build on. You got Calvin Ridley coming next year, which is going to completely amp up the wide receiver room because Christian Kirk's already on pace to get, I think, around close to 100 catches. And then Zay Jones, the other free agent wide receiver we picked up, he's on pace to get around 80 to 90 receptions. So, and then you're just going to add Calvin Ridley, who at one point was considered a top 5 receiver in this league. And then you have Trevor Lawrence finally coming into his own and finally starting to figure things out. This offense next year is going to be something to worry about. But to finish with this year, I think, as long as you can go on the road and win some games and if you could just beat Tennessee, man, just beat Tennessee at Tennessee. That's all I want. You beat Tennessee at Tennessee, I'll be happy.
Man. And so like at what point? Yeah.
I mean, to carry off Julian real quick, I'd say, man, another 2 seasons for you guys. Because I feel like, yes, the offense will be there, but, man, Jacksonville's going to Jacksonville. I feel like next season you guys, you're going to still have that stigma, lose a couple close games off of bad coaching or bad playmaking towards the end. And I don't know, man. We'll see. Hopefully you guys make those changes.
See, well, here's another thing, a wild stat. I think I sent it to JoJo, before I sent it to somebody. We have like a plus 12 point differential or something like that. We have a positive point differential and we're 4-7. And then I saw something that Minnesota has a negative point differential and they're 9-2.
Yeah, well, I
that's
understand
crazy,
Minnesota.
And it shows you that like we've been losing close games, and it's like if you just clean up those mistakes, oh my God! I mean, you're talking about a whole different scenario. Like if you don't lose to Houston, if you don't lose to the Commanders, if you didn't have that horrendous monsoon game in Philly that you're leading up by could have been 3 touchdowns. You're talking about a 7-4 team right now. Yeah. And not even to talk about like some of the other mistakes that were made along the way in some other games, like losing to Indianapolis in the second game against them. Like, and it's like you clean up those mistakes, you're talking about like
a whole different season.
Yeah, a completely different season, winning the division.
And I wanted to bring up this question because this can go across all sports. Because right now, Julian, you're talking about these next 2 games super uber important that you guys win. If you lose one of them, it's like, when do you decide as a team, like, I just want my team to pack it in. I just want, if we're not going to win, if we're not going to be competitive, like, I just want Trevor Lawrence healthy for the next season. So, like, obviously these, you mentioned these 2 games that are coming up, 2 division games that super uber important. But it's like, at what cost do you want to like just be in the hunt, right? Because if your team, they've had bad losses and they can't win these close ones, it's like, at what point do you pack it up and say, like, let's just get healthy, let's get through the season, recover, maybe we make some moves in the offseason. Like, when are you ready to jump off?
I guess if you lose to Tennessee 2 weeks from now, if you lose to Tennessee and then Tennessee's just running off with it, then it's like, it's kind of done from right there. Like I said, I think with Tennessee playing Philly, that's probably going to be an L for Tennessee. Playing Detroit, that's going to be that's going to be a sleeper, like, underrated good game. That's going to be a high scoring game right there. But if you can pull off that victory, Detroit, and then you go at Tennessee and get a result, that's huge. But if you lose at Tennessee again, I think our record against Tennessee is something like 13-1 in the past 14 games. Something ridiculous like that.
So what can you guys
hasn't been able to win
over?
At Tennessee for over a decade.
What can you guys carry over from this big win against Baltimore into this Tennessee game to secure that W?
Trevor Lawrence playing like he's continuing to play.
So it's all on
and the defense and the defense being able to not play lights out, but just do enough.
Yeah.
And the one thing that frustrates me so much about the defense is just they cannot get pressure to save their life. The secondary, the linebackers, even the safeties are playing well. But and you could say the guys in the middle are stuffing the run pretty well. But these guys on the edge, Trayvon Walker, which was the number 1 overall pick this past year, and Josh Allen, who was a top 10 pick a couple years ago, they can't get any pressure to save their life. Like, it's ridiculous. Yeah. And then meanwhile, you have Detroit with Aiden Hutchinson, who went 2nd overall, has – not that it's a lot, but he has 5.5 sacks with 2 interceptions, and way more pressures. I forgot the amount. I think he had close to 40 pressures when Trayvon Walker only has 20 something. So it's like, I don't know. Obviously, people knew he was going to be a project. Yeah, and he wasn't a sure thing. But I hope he can turn it around.
And that could explain too. You talk about the plus 12. You are correct. It has a plus 12 point differential. That could explain too, right? Close games. You guys are in games, but you guys could never pull off the close games. So,
or even leading games and losing the lead.
You talk about putting pressure, especially on the defense, clamping down. In the playoffs, teams get better, right? The better teams, they advance. Teams that are, more viable, more equally balanced on both sides of the ball. So, that speaks to, you talk about plus 12 differential. That speaks to if you can't get pressure,
yeah,
it's gonna be tough. You have to. It's got to be offense. It's got to be the greatest show on turf. You have to fucking show out 500 yards a game for Trevor Lawrence.
And honestly, the only game where they lost, there's only one game this season where they lost by more than 1 possession, and it was against Kansas City. And if they didn't miss if the kicker didn't miss 2 field goals, it would be a 1 possession game. So if you say he makes those, the offense as a whole or the team as a whole hasn't lost by more than 1 possession. So it just shows how close they are. If they could just, and the division sucks. Tennessee, they're not going to be able to keep on doing what they're doing for too long. Tennessee is trash. They're not that good. I mean, don't get me wrong. Their defense is great, but the offense is mediocre at best. All you got to do is stop Derrick Henry, which Derrick Henry, I think, only rushed for 34 yards this past week with 17 or 20 carries or something like that. Tennessee doesn't scare me long term. Indianapolis, who knows what the fuck they're doing. Houston is an absolute shit show. We clearly have the best team, the best quarterback in the division right now, and it's not even close. and probably the best wide receiver group in the AFC South.
So tough road. Again, two tough road games going on for Jacksonville. We'll get into our pick'ems for this week. Let's transition over to another big
second
story.
Overall pick.
Yeah,
the guy picked after Trevor.
We're talking about Mike White and the New York Jets. Is Mike White the future of the New York Jets? I don't know how you guys felt about the New York Jets season so far. Obviously, me being a Dolphin fan, I'm biased against any New York team, and especially
hometown
the Jets,
team.
Our division rivals.
This season's already a W for the Dolphins. I mean, for the Jets, it's already a W. Whether they make the playoffs or not, they already surpassed their expectations for this season.
So the question at hand is what's the future of? Obviously, we had this past week. We didn't talk about last week show, but they stick Zac Wilson down. Has a tough couple games. There's questions of who's going to start.
Tough season, dude.
Yeah, having a pretty tough season. Obviously, there's questions of quarterback. Joe Flacco, Mike White. But Julian? I'll go to you. How do you feel about Mike White going forward with the Jets? Does this make them more competitive? Can they win in the AFC East?
Dude, yeah. I mean, Mike White is clearly the better choice. I think Zac Wilson has 4 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. And, man, that game last week against the Patriots was horrendous. Horrendous. He is missing wide open people. He's not throwing to wide open people. He just looks terrible. And that idiot, what's his name, Chris Sims, who was like pre-draft, was talking about, that I think Zac Wilson's the best quarterback coming out of the draft over Trevor Lawrence. And everybody thought he was delusional. And turns out that he actually is. Because for you to think that Zac Wilson was to be better than Trevor Lawrence is just absolutely nuts to me. And this is just proof of what exactly is happening. Dude, UIU.
Yeah, doing.
But the dude, I think on the season, let me see what he has on the season. Or Gabe, you could check it while I'm talking. But while Gabe finds that out, Mike White had 22. He went 22 for 28, 315 yards, 3 touchdowns. Double check me if I'm wrong, Gabe, but I'm pretty sure Zac Wilson has 4 touchdowns on the season.
3 touchdowns.
Zac Wilson has 3 touchdowns on the season. Mike White got that in 1 game. That is wild to me. And I think Zac Wilson has 5 interceptions. I think Joe Flacco has more touchdown passes than Zac Wilson for the Jets right now. Zac Wilson has been terrible. He's been mediocre at best. Mike White is clearly the guy you got to move forward. He has not lost the job. He has every right to continue to be the starter in New York. The team responds to him better. They're moving the ball better. And it seemed like the guys just can't even really rally behind Zac Wilson either. It seems like they don't like him. He's not necessarily a big leader. You got to go forward with Mike White. The dude is being efficient. He's making the throws that need to be made. What was that?
You guys seen his press conference, right? Zero accountability, man. He lost 500 points of sportsmanship with his team. Gone. Out the window. Not getting that back.
No refund.
It's gone. But yeah, man. They were like, you guys on offense put up 3 points and the defense, gave up 3 points. Do you feel like you owe the defense, blah, blah, blah. And he said, no. What the fuck?
Yeah, I saw that.
Putting your team in a situation to win. Talking about 3 points, bro. What are you gonna do with 3 points? How can you win any game with 3 points unless your defense is lights out? What are you gonna do, bro?
And they have been. The defense for the New York Jets have been. Dude, Sauce Gardner has 14 pass breakups, leading the entire league in pass breakups as a rookie.
Yeah, he's really good. That was a good pickup.
That defense is balling, and now they're coming up against the Minnesota Vikings, so he's going to have a one-on-one battle with Justin Jefferson. That's going to be a really interesting matchup to watch. It's going to be an interesting matchup to watch, that Minnesota Vikings offense against that New York Jets defense. And shit, I mean, if New York Jets keep on performing like they do, because they got the weapons on offense.
Yeah.
I mean, you have Garrett Wilson, you have Elijah Moore. They just traded for James Robinson. You got the pieces to make things move. And you could arguably say the play calling, you have the guy who can make the right play calls. Don't get me, I haven't watched every single Jets game, but it seems like LaFleur over there has a good idea of how to get guys open. It's just you didn't have the quarterback making the throws.
Yeah, the Jets actually have, they have a decent team. As much as again, as a Dolphin fan, they're our rivals. They actually have a decent team this year. They actually have talent. They're sparse of one of the biggest injuries they had was the running back for, was it Brees Hall?
Brees Hall, yeah.
He was having a tremendous season. Obviously, cut down. They had to make some trades. I think they traded for James Robinson from the Jags. So the Jets, at one point, in the season, they actually, held their, fate in their own hands. It's going to be tough this next couple weeks. It's tough going on the road against Minnesota. We'll talk about that later. Still have to play Buffalo. They had to play at Miami last game of the season. So
yeah, they got a tough stretch.
They got a tough stretch. But they're competitive, right? There are pieces, there's flashes of like talent on that team. So I don't think overall at this point most of the season is a success. Obviously, it's very competitive with the Dolphins being up so high right now in the rankings. I think they're 8.
Number 3rd in the AFC right now.
Third. Okay.
The Jets are.
Oh, the Jets are, but yeah. So they're still competitive.
Dolphins 8-3, Bills 8-3, Jets 7-4, Patriots 6-5.
Yeah, but they had the advantage over the Dolphins, but they did lose. So we'll see. As far as the Jets, decent team. They have a decent team. They have a nice couple players. As far as Mike White, I think you had to go with Mike White, right? Because coming off last season, I think Zac Wilson has like a 33. His QBR is like a 33. This year's a 44. So not really that great.
Terrible.
Especially having, that attitude kind of on the press conference. It's like, you definitely lost confidence with the coach, with Salah, who's he's a defensive. Where did he come from? He came from
San Francisco.
San Francisco.
Dude, my man Zach too worried about the milfs at the bookstore.
Man. Oh man, he's worried about your mama instead of.
He's worried about Giselle Brady
instead of who's.
Bro, that's what he focused on at the press conference. He wasn't even worried about the reporters out there.
Yeah.
No, I think he'll be all right. I think he'll get another chance to come play. Like, obviously, he's a high draft pick. I think that warrants it. Like, maybe you don't stick with him now, but you gotta at least, if you're gonna stick with him, if you're a high draft pick like Zac Wilson is, you think you're probably gonna get another chance. If not with the Jets, somewhere else. Somebody's gonna need a quarterback somewhere.
I don't think so because he has every opportunity to be successful. He has a good defense. He has a solid running game, and he has the weapons, and he has the coaching staff. It wasn't like a Sam Darnold situation where the team was an absolute shit show.
I was going to say that in this situation, you can't blame the organization.
Wilson has every opportunity to be good, and I don't see anybody, especially with this upcoming draft class. This is supposed to be a really good draft class. Quarterbacks. Who's going to want to take a flyer on Zac Wilson?
I mean, you think I don't think even if the Jets had an opportunity. You think they're taking quarterback? I mean, they got Joe Flacco, who's an old veteran.
I'm not saying they take a quarterback. I mean, shit. We'll see what happens with this Mike White guy. I mean, if he keeps on, I'd never heard of him before. I mean, obviously, backups. We see it all the time. There's,
sometimes they play well in the preseason.
Like shit just kind of happens, and like you catch lightning in a bottle, and then like they play great for one game. Who knows if they can keep it up consistently? I mean, the same thing happened with the dude in New England. He had a solid game. We see it all countless. Matt Castle throughout the years, Matt Flynn, like all these guys that have these amazing like games as a backup, and then can't really replicate it.
Geno Smith.
Then again, you have the opposite side where these guys end up being something.
Yeah. I would say, Jojo, like, how do you feel like especially getting a young quarterback,
as a New Yorker?
As a New Yorker, a guy from Buffalo, a Buffalonian, whatever they call themselves.
Yeah.
Buffaloes. Buffaloes.
Like, how much time do you think you should give your quarterback? Because I had this experience, right? Because I have Tua on the Dolphins. I think 2 or 3 years, you kind of know what you got, right? Obviously, Zac Wilson's going to second year. He's getting sat down. Do you think, how many years would you give a high draft pick like Zac Wilson? How many years do you think he needs to develop? Like, how much leash do you give him? Like, okay, just give him a chance. Maybe he'll sit down and, read the playbook, be a bench guy. Yeah. Do you think that Mike White has been given enough chances as a second year?
Nah, he hasn't. I mean, at least to really see someone's potential, man, like at least 2 seasons, right? It could be a tell of 2 seasons. And then maybe if you don't have anybody that extra 3rd season, but it also depends on their performance. Like if you're playing like legit dog shit, and you're out there and you don't
yeah,
know,
like if you're playing like Zac Wilson.
yeah, like listen, like Trevor Lawrence, right? For example, yeah, he had a shitty season last season, right? But we knew why. We knew why he was having a bad season. Now, like Julian said, you're set up for success. Now there's kind of like, hey, like what's going on? And we can blatantly see that you're the problem and you're the star quarterback. How long can you keep him out there, right? I mean, and shout out to Tua and that. I mean, Dolphins were really patient. I mean, really patient with him. I mean, they even did the hybrid season with him. He played half the games, kind of took their time with him. And he even admitted he didn't even study the playbook or anything like that. And still, they're
also,
like, you know what? You're our
real
main
quick
guy.
to that.
So, yeah.
I'll say real quick to that, getting rid of Brian Flores was probably the greatest thing that ever happened to his career.
Okay, let's talk about Mike.
It's 100% true. Getting rid of Brian Flores was the best thing to ever happen to Tua.
I disagree. Tua, okay.
That's what I'm talking about.
Specifically
Tua. It was the best thing that ever happened to Tua. You would not see Tua playing to the level. You wouldn't even see Tyreek Hill on that team if Brian Flores was there. Guaranteed.
Okay, we can talk about. I don't want to talk about Brian Flores. He's the past.
Anyway,
he's gone. I mean, he's not the past. He works for the Pittsburgh.
I think at least two seasons to play. Like to really see what they're capable of, man. Like a lot can happen in a game. A lot of people could take blame in these losses. It could be the defense, it could be the coaching, it could be the play calling. Look, Russell Wilson, for example, we all know what he's capable of, but look what's going on in Denver. And I knew you were talking about new quarterbacks. I'm just putting them in this example because he's in an entire new system on a new team, and we have never seen anything like this. So who knows? Next season could be a complete turnaround, but it's kind of hard to blame the quarterback again unless you know he is the main issue on the field.
And Julian, I want to ask you because when you have a veteran like Joe Flacco, maybe Joe Flacco, we're not seeing peak Joe Flacco, we're seeing the end of his career, but at least when you invest in a veteran backup like that, like why? It's kind of surprising for me for Mike White to get the nod over Joe Flacco. Like, do you think that's smart?
You mean Joe Flacco?
Joe Flacco.
Yeah. No, Joe Flacco's a bum. Let's be real. The dude's a bum. I don't care. Fuck him. You can bench him, cut him. He's a bum. He's not going to take you anywhere. At least go with the guy who could actually have something left and can do something.
Yeah, I mean that's a little surprising. That's how you really figure they just go with a veteran, but
no, I mean why would you go with Joe Flacco? I've been the biggest Joe Flacco hater. Like the moment they paid that man over $100 million, I was like, that's the biggest waste of money I've ever seen in my life.
He got paid, man. He won that championship and he got paid.
Listen,
that's all he ever did was win that championship.
You might hate him more than Gabe hates Chris Paul.
I don't know, man. That's tough.
No, I mean you got to go with the. See what you got. Like, why not? We already know. Joe
I agree.
Washed. He's done. Like,
surprisingly, I'm agreeing with Julian.
Go
because time to move forward.
Like see what you got. This guy.
You're a young team with the Jets. Like young organization. Like you're making moves. You're getting some wins. I wouldn't rely back to Joe Flacco as my savior.
When did Mike White get drafted? I've never heard of this guy.
I can't tell you, but what surprises me...
I got it right here. He got drafted in the 5th round in 2018. Dude's from Pembroke Pines, Florida.
Wow. That's a local kid.
He went to USF.
Not bad.
So the thing I want to say was especially at this point in the season for the Jets, they're still competitive. It's just weird for me to see they're gonna go with the young guy or the younger guy as opposed to a Super Bowl champion, a guy who competed.
Here we go.
I don't know. It's just for me, it's interesting to see that kind of move. But
Joe Flacco love is showing.
As long as my Dolphins beat the Jets and they never show up in the playoffs,
that's why he wants Joe Flacco to play. That's why he wants Joe Flacco to play.
Joe Flacco, if the Dolphins was in a situation and your backup was Joe Flacco, would you be happy with that? Instead of another?
I mean, we kind of went through that with. We kind of went through that.
Brissett?
I mean, with having a veteran like Ryan Fitzpatrick, I didn't think Ryan Fitzpatrick is the greatest quarterback of all time, but it's fucking a game manager, a guy that'll give you a couple of games. Yeah, sometimes at point in times last season, Fitzpatrick was the answer. Fitzpatrick was a better quarterback. He was more, cowboy shoot him up, throw up in the middle, throw into pressure. I don't think Tua had that confidence to throw into pressure like that. Now Tua, with the amount of talent and speed that he has on the field, Tua's throwing, into spaces that he looks incredible. Like all the things that I thought that he could be, like, is starting to formulate. He's starting to push his game.
Ryan Fitzpatrick was like a part of the fucking Lord of the Rings. He had some sort of magic about him that just like he did shit that I didn't even know was possible. Somehow he just pulled some shit out of his ass. Like he's a different breed. He's from the Hobbit world. He hangs out with Gandalf. Like
he has that weird wizard.
Yeah, him and Joe Flacco to me are like I would take Fitzpatrick right now over Joe Flacco.
Right now. Right now. Retired Fitzpatrick. I think he's doing games for Amazon, right?
He is.
He is. I was gonna say that.
Amazon, I think.
He's on Amazon. He's going games. Remember, because they had the game. One of the Miami games was on Amazon Prime, and there was a weird interaction where like, oh, here's Fitzpatrick and Tua.
Listen, man, I'm just trying to get the Fitz beard, bro. Yo, shout out Fitz, man. You inspire me, bro. I hope I'm close. I hope I'm making you proud.
Yo, let's talk about the season. We really don't talk. We have our own little group of fantasy football. We play. That's obviously how we dabble. Connected. We dabble. We talk about sports. We're in the chats. We're shit talking to each other. Yo, I want to talk about our fantasy teams. Like at this point in the season, like, who are like some of the best players that have performed for your fantasy team? Because trying to be competitive. We're all trying to win. Some of the best players you had. I can tell you right now, the best trade I ever had was I traded JoJo. JoJo's a Denver fan, obviously. A resident Denver fan. Resident Russell Wilson fan. I traded him. I traded you. I traded you Wilson and McCaffrey, right?
McCaffrey
for
Tyreek Hill,
for Tom Brady and Tyreek Hill.
And Tyreek
Hill. He wanted his his Bronco. Okay, hashtag Let's Ride. Broncos Nation, let's ride.
Big mistake.
He wanted Wilson. I wanted Tyreek Hill, and I drafted. Eventually later, I acquired Tua. So, how do you feel so far? Who are your best performers of your fantasy that you've had so far? Jojo, I'll go.
Well,
who do you feel
you guys already know my worst. So, I mean, so for my team, I got a pretty stacked lineup, man. Look, we're heading into playoffs. Let me just run through my starters real quick. I know we're talking about our best, but I got a pretty good team. I got a look quarterback right now. Listen, I had to pick off the waiver wire. You guys heard my situation with Russell Wilson.
Desperate. This man's
Nobody
desperate.
in this league wanted to trade me a quarterback, guys. I end up picking up Dak Prescott waiver wire about 2 weeks ago because he was the best available quarterback. Man, you know what's really
I'll trade you back Tom Brady.
I'll
give you Tom Brady back. You want me to trade Tom Brady?
So everybody knows if you've been watching this, I won the league last year and I didn't have a single quarterback. I was bouncing between Derek Carr and who was ever on the waiver wire and had a good matchup, and I won the entire league with fucking Derek Carr. So if I can do it, anybody can do it.
All right, you know what? I'm not gonna run through my whole team. All right, I'm gonna give you two sleepers that I had this whole season. Who's your best off, man? Shout out to
your worst performer and your best performer.
All right, Amon-Ra, St. Brown. So St. Brown.
Oh, he was on fire. The beginning of
Detroit.
He is going. Yeah. He's been very consistent, right? So I think it was week 2. He had a 40-point game, and I was just like, "Yo, who is this guy?"
I think he was a 5th or 4th round draft pick this year.
Staying a starter in my lineup, right? So he's been consistent. 12 points, 15 here and there, and then he had his second biggest game of the season last week. I think he had 27. And he went off, and I'm like, "Yo, I need this going into playoffs." So, and you said our worst player as
that's
well.
Number one.
So that's my number one.
Give me your biggest bust. Your biggest bust.
The guy you drafted, it like, yo, I gotta drop this guy. I gotta get rid of him.
Biggest. Oh man, Wilson, bro. I'm sorry, he can't get over 13 points in the game. It's embarrassing. Meanwhile, you're gonna play Josh Allen, who's gonna give you 30, 40 points a game. Yeah. Or even Lamar Jackson, you can't compete. And I will say, Matt Stafford. I drafted Matt Stafford, so I did terrible. I'm 0 for 2 for quarterbacks in this fantasy, and I'm gonna leave it like that.
All right, Julian, I'm gonna go with you. You had a chance to review. Who's been your best player, best performer, or your best draft pick so far? That's been the most consistent guy.
My most consistent guy I can trust week in and week out, Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb has been consistently getting 20 points at 20 points a game. Another solid, consistent player for me has been Christian Kirk out of Jacksonville. He's not amazing, but he's been he at least gets me 10 points, and it's been a little bit more reliable. I have 2 big pickup sleepers off the waiver wire that have now been consistent starters. Dameon Pierce and Njoku. Those 2 guys have been big for me. Dameon Pierce from Houston, Njoku from Cleveland. Those guys have been massive pickups for me. I was on Dameon Pierce when he played. I picked him up right before he played Jacksonville. I was seeing everything, and that's all he's available. So took him immediately. And then as for my 2 biggest busts that pissed me off so much, and I've had in previous years that it's never done me dirty, Dalvin Cook and Darren Waller.
Damn.
Who would have thought that those
Waller
2 players would have been busted? Waller's been hurt pretty much the entire season. I've been holding on to him just in case, but he's still on IR. I'm thinking about just dropping him entirely. I've been psyched, and then on top of that, Njoku's been injured for a 4-game span. So there was times on my roster I was holding 3 tight ends. So I was Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook's been whatever. He hasn't been absolute terrible, horrible, but he's been so wishy-washy where it's one time he'll get a great game. I think he's only had let me see now. He's had a handful of good games, but mostly he's been getting around 10 to 13 points. And as my number 1 RB, I need you to be getting 20 points a game. And he's only done it 4 times, it looks like. But I like my role players too. Joe Mixon has been pretty big for me. Devontae Smith's been hit or miss. And then Terry McLaurin's been...
To add on to my group, bro, someone that surprised me from the Seahawks, and no, his name is not, Lockett or Metcalf, but Kenneth Walker III, the running back. He's had some big games for them. And I'm talking over 15, over 20 points. I think he maybe had a 30-point game a couple weeks back. He's been pretty consistent for me as well.
I mean, yeah, Seahawks definitely having a season, unprecedented season. I expected nothing out of the Seahawks. They're still producing. They're still being competitive. Geno Smith, or the resurrection season of Geno Smith. Mark it down in your calendars, folks. He's going to be a Hall of Famer in the future. I'm just kidding.
What's your team looking like, Gabe?
For my players, the best player I have right now, my best performer right now is Tyreek Hill. Obviously, I got Tyreek Hill from JoJo. Traded in. I had to trade away Christian McCaffrey. People say, oh, that's ridiculous, Christian McCaffrey, always consistent, giving plenty of points on the team. But here's the thing. I didn't want to worry about Christian McCaffrey. He always gets injured. Every year is is he going to play? Is he not? Right now, he has an injury. Nobody knows he's going to start. He'll probably be productive. He's probably have a great season. He's probably going to be, this is an amazing 2-3 seasons for Christian McCaffrey. I just didn't want that worry. I want that stress. I want that anxiety. Traded him away. Got Tyreek Hill. He's probably my best performer. He starts every week. Every time I play him. Right now, the weakest spots on my thing are I have 3 quarterbacks. So I have Jalen Hurts, I have Tua, and I have Tom Brady.
This guy's
JoJo, if you like Tom Brady back, I would trade.
Why the hell you got Jalen Hurts? How are you not playing him? I have Jalen Hurts in my other league. We also have another league, and I have Jalen Hurts.
I'm sorry. I have A.J. Brown, so I have to do double points, man.
Jalen Brown, listen, Gabe smoked me with that combo. I just have to let y'all know that he smoked me with that. They had a lethal game, and there was no coming back from that. There was no coming back.
That's why I have Tua and I have Tyreek Hill. I have Tua and Tyreek Hill. I have Jalen Hurts and Brown. My worst probably pickup again. The weakest parts is probably running back and tight ends is probably my weakest. The worst player I've ever had, I can say right now, is currently on my roster is probably Lockett. Lockett has been, he had a couple games. Especially a big game a couple weeks ago. But it's one of these guys that's I just have him on my bench, and I just never have the courage to put him up there. Oh, Thielen too, having a lesser year than.
I think too is he's been healthy as well.
Yeah, but Jefferson's been going off. So I mean, shout out to whoever has. Shout out to all the Jefferson owners.
Shout out to all the Jefferson
owners.
Whoever picked them up in my job.
On my other league, do you guys know my wide receiver combo? In my other league?
Yeah.
Devontae Adams and Stephon Diggs.
Who'd you pay off to get that?
Wide receiver. But then my running backs are terrible. Honestly, Troy Pollard has been a big pickup for me.
Pollard's a good pickup, man.
He was a really solid pickup for me. Because Zeke is done. His career's over pretty much. So he's been a solid pickup, and then I've been swapping out between Mozart, Josh Jacobs, and Connor from Arizona. So I've been kind of all over the place with that.
Yo, so let's get into it. Let's talk about this upcoming week. Obviously, we're in week 12. What week is this? 13, 14? I have no idea.
Gabe is lost. I think it's week 12.
Listen, I have the bets of our general bets. I just gotta calculate them. But
calculate them. It's week 12.
All right, so let's get into it. Week 12. Obviously, we're recording this on a Wednesday, so tomorrow will be the Bills at Patriots. Bills are the favorite on the road, -4. I mean, Julian, how do you feel about these points? -4 is an odd number, but they're on the road. They're road favorites. Do you feel like the Patriots can pull it out at home?
Give me Buffalo.
Okay. JoJo, how do you feel?
Buffalo on this one.
All right.
I think somehow know how to win, though. I don't get it. They're somehow 6-5.
Man, I really want to root for the Patriots because
I feel like they just can't get something
fan, I'm trying to
going, man. They'll win 2, lose 1, win 1, lose 2.
You know what? I'm gonna go. I think the Patriots will cover the points. I think maybe the Patriots lose, but by 3 points, not by.
Nice.
All right, let's go to Thursday. Another game. The Jets at the Vikings. Jets at Vikings. Obviously, the Vikings are the favorite. -3 on the road. Jets have a tough road to hoe. Julian.
Oh wow!
Minnesota -3.
Ooh.
I give me Minnesota at home with a -3.
All right. JoJo.
Yeah, I'm after with this whole quarterback thing going on with the Jets right now, man. I feel like they're gonna lose momentum. I'm gonna stay with the Vikes.
And I'm pretty sure, has Minnesota lost at home? I don't think they've lost at home. Where's that Cowboys loss at? I know they lost at Philly.
I'm gonna have to double check that while we do this.
I want to say that was in Dallas.
I'm checking now.
Could be wrong though.
But I'll go with the Vikings as well. I think Vikings at homes are a good pick to go with.
Bro,
while Julian looks that up, let's go with
you guys want to hear some sad news on this next game?
Yeah, it was at Minnesota.
All right. So let's go with Broncos at Ravens. Broncos are a underdog. 8.5 points. Ravens are the favorites at home. 8.5 points. That's a lot of points. Yeah. JoJo, I'm gonna go with you first because this is your team right here.
Oh man, listen, I'm not as delusional as Julian with his Jacksonville Jaguars. Hey, I'm gonna give it to the Ravens on this one, and if we win, shit, I'd rather be wrong. You know, this game was actually supposed to be a primetime game, and they moved it up to
and then they switched
it. 2:00. Yeah, sad man. When you're that bad that they change your primetime game,
they're like, nah, we don't want to see y'all.
But the Ravens are good, so like honestly, they're punishing the Ravens. But whatever, bro. I'm gonna go with Baltimore.
You're gonna go, Julian. 8.5 points is a lot for the Ravens at home. Do you like that? Do you like those odds?
Give me Denver +8. I think they'll keep it close.
Yeah, I think Denver loses, but Ravens win, but not by 8.5 points.
Yeah,
it'll be a lot closer.
Ravens just know how to blow leads. They've blown like 4 or 5 leads this season.
Yeah, but to what offense with the Broncos, man? What lead are they gonna blow? Like,
I don't know.
Let's go Pittsburgh at Atlanta. Pittsburgh, the Steelers at Atlanta. Pittsburgh on the road, 1.5 point favorite. Do they win by 2 or more points? I'll go with JoJo. JoJo, how do you feel about this game?
Listen, I don't know. I need my running back Patterson to go off this week, so I'm gonna just go with Atlanta on this one. He's gonna have a big game.
All right, Julian, how do you feel about the Steelers?
Honest, I haven't seen a single game from either one of these two teams. I watch Monday Night Football against the Steelers and Colts. Give me Atlanta. I feel like they seem better. So give me Atlanta.
They seem
Atlanta
better.
At home, 2.5. I mean, I think it's a winnable game from Atlanta.
Atlanta's in a playoff race. The NFC South sucks, so Atlanta has something to play for.
I think these are
Pittsburgh is pretty much done.
Yeah, they're both bad teams. I think at some point the Steelers have to, pack it in and say let's tank for a Wembanyama or some other pick. So I'm gonna go Atlanta. I'm gonna go Atlanta at home. I think they can win this game. All right, Jaguars at Detroit. Jaguars are a road favorite, 1.5 points. I mean, that's very close. Julian, I'll go with you. You're a resident Jacksonville fan. You feel about your Jaguars on the road?
Give me Duval to win it.
Must win.
It's a very important game. Dougie P even said that this is a 7-game season. We got to go undefeated. So
I think I'm going to agree with you. I think this is a more winnable game than the second game. Going at Tennessee is a tough road to hoe, but this week I think they can beat the Detroit Lions. I'll take Jacksonville.
Wow, Gabe, you're gonna go back, man. You're gonna.
Sorry, I'm going back.
Honestly,
I said I would have picked them ever again.
Every time you guys doubt, they win.
I said I would never pick them again, but you know what? I think this is a winnable game.
Oh man, I feel like we're always put in a situation where we want to believe. Man, I hate that false hope.
It's not what you think will happen. Like, how do you feel? Like, if you had to put money on it, put money on it. What do you
bro? I never want to bet on the Jags, man. But you know what? I mean,
before.
I would never want to bet. I would never put my money in that side. But you know what? If I have $5, I guess I'll sacrifice my $5 and I'll go with the Jags in this game.
All right,
bro,
you
make
might
it
win
happen,
10
Julian. Yo, if it doesn't, you know why I believe? Because I witnessed that fourth quarter. So I'm like, all right, I seen a glimpse. If they can play like that, I'm straight. I can live with that.
I can live with that.
All right, let's go to the next game. Let's go Titans at Eagles. Titans, obviously, road doggy. Eagles, favorite 5.5 points.
I feel like another upset is brewing, bro. It's brewing, and it's like Julian painted this perfect picture. Like, yeah, Philly's gonna beat Tennessee, man. The complete opposite is gonna freaking happen and ruin his Jacksonville Jaguars hope. I feel like that's exactly what's gonna happen. Yo, Jags might pull off the win, and then guess what? If Tennessee wins too, yo, nothing happened. I don't know, man. Wow. You know what? Yo, give me Philly. I'm not that bold. Yeah, I'm not calling.
Give me Philly. I'm too invested. I got AJ Brown and Jalen Hurts on my team.
Yeah, I think Tennessee is so windham. If Philly is a really good run defense. They stop Derrick Henry. Tennessee doesn't stand a chance. Like, they have nothing outside of him. So Philly at Philly too.
All right, let's go. Browns at Texans. Kind of a doodle bowl. Browns on the road there. Minus 7 points.
Is Deshaun Watson back now?
Yes, he should be. Yes. I believe it was announced that he is back.
So that's the reason for the spread.
Yeah, I think they let go of another Josh Dobbs. They let go of some other quarterback on the practice squad to acquire. Put up Deshaun Watson.
Imagine being that guy.
He should be playing Browns at Texans. Yeah, that's crazy. Julian, I'll go with you. How do you feel about the Browns? -7. It's -7, so it's only like 6.5. Just like -7. They're going by like 9 or more points.
So the Browns played Jags in the preseason, and Deshaun Watson played in that preseason game, and he looked abysmal. He looked terrible.
11 weeks of rest.
I think Houston loses, but they can get in. Year and a half, almost 2 years of rest.
Bro, that's gonna be wild.
Give me Houston. I think Houston gets in. I don't think they I think they get within 7. I don't think they. And you're at Houston, like I think.
Yeah, I'm agree with you. I think Houston they lose, but they cover. They lose by less than.
Watson is such a wild card, and isn't this like kind of like crazy too? That like Deshaun Watson's first game back is in Houston.
I think that's how they planned it out. They should have been suspended.
That's kind of crazy. I hope the fans ream him.
Oh yeah,
I really hope they do.
Look forward to all the signs.
How fitting! Yeah. How fitting!
Yo, honestly, like again,
Jojo, how do you feel about this game?
Good, you pointed that out. Like you couldn't have wrote this like in a book, bro. Like his first game back after 18 years, and he's playing.
I think
yeah. They planned this shit. Oh man, in Houston, I mean, listen,
on the road there.
you want the fans to ream him, but he didn't want to be there. And then all this whole fiasco came out and everything, and they didn't want to let him go. Texans suck, by the way. So I'm sorry. I'm just gonna go with the Browns. I'm gonna go with the Browns.
You're gonna go with the Browns?
Yeah.
All right. By the way, I think Goodell wanted 12 weeks, and somehow they agreed to 11. This was a setup. Anyways, Commanders at the Giants. The Giants are home doggies. How are you a home doggy against the Commanders?
What is going on here?
Are the Commanders good? Are they good?
What is going on? Hold up 1 second. What is going on here?
All right. I don't know, man. This is a game I don't want to watch. I think the Giants are overrated. Commanders on the road, 3.5 points.
Holy shit, dude!
The
Commanders are 7-5.
Yeah,
how did I miss this?
Yeah. They're hanging in there.
They're on a 3-game win streak since they benched Carson.
They're pulling off upsets, bro. They freaking beat the Eagles too, man. Oh my
god, dude! I have not been paying attention to the Commanders at all, and I turned my head, and now they're 7-5.
Yeah. Bro, and this is a division game. This is a division matchup. Like, they need this win.
Yes. So Commanders are in last place right now, 7-5. Giants are 7. Man, the NFC East is really good this year.
Bro, you got Cowboys and Eagles all up in there. So
I'm gonna go with Commanders. I think they're fair. You know what? I believe in Heineke. I believe in the Great Lizard. I'll go with the Commanders on the road to win by 3 or more points. Give me the Commanders.
Dude, I am like, you have no idea. Like, I'm beyond shocked. To be fair, though, let me rattle off who they beat. They beat the Packers. They beat the Bears. They beat the Colts. They beat the Texans. They beat the Falcons.
These are not good teams. These are not good teams. These are not good teams.
The only good team they beat that I'm like, wow, okay, they beat them was the Eagles.
The Eagles, for sure.
Oh, and they beat the Jags, too.
Again.
Oh, yeah, that's a gimme, though. That's a gimme.
That's a gimme.
So, like, what the fuck? Like, that's why I'm, like, surprised right now.
They're favorites on the road. Come on, what you got, Julian? I'll go to JoJo.
Give me New York. Give me New York.
Giants at home. Damn. JoJo, that's your favorite team? It's a New York team, dude. Come on. What you got?
Yeah, New York with the money line, too. Give me that plus 116.
I'm going to go Giants. Yo, even though Giants got cooked by the Cowboys last week, bro. Shit.
Ooh.
Cowboys are better than the Commanders, though.
Yeah.
I like Giants with the money line. That's easy money right there.
Speaking of two bad teams, Packers at the Bears. This is a rivalry, right? This is
one of the it's a historic rivalry.
Packers,
the biggest rivalry probably in the NFL.
5.5 favorite on the road. A lot of road teams are favorites this week. Packers at
Fields
Bears.
Is out.
So you know what? I'm gonna go for the Packers.
Is Fields still going to be out? How long was Fields out for? I just saw he was injured. I didn't know exactly.
Let me look it up. Well,
bro, the Bears without Fields they have no hope. They have.
Yeah, I mean, if Fields is, I don't know the extent of his injury. I just know that he was injured. That's going to determine my decision.
I'm looking that up.
You never bet against Rodgers going against the Bears. That is almost guaranteed wins, no matter how bad that Packers team is.
So I'm looking up.
Sounds like he's out.
Yeah, it says a left shoulder injury. He said he's feeling better day by day. I'm trying to get an actual date of like. It seems like he's up in the air, questionable.
Apparently, Justin Fields has epilepsy. That's very unfortunate for a NFL quarterback.
So, how you feel about this game? I'm gonna go with the Packers on the road. I think this is a garbage bowl, but I'll go with the Packers on the road.
Yeah, with Fields out, I'll take Green Bay.
All right, let's slide over to the next game. Seahawks at Rams. Man, 7.5 points on the road. Another road favorite. Seahawks, Rams.
I mean, I can see that, man. The Rams have no offense with Cooper Kupp out. Matt Stafford hasn't been playing well at all. Seahawks have the edge overall in terms of spark. I don't see any spark in the Rams team, bro.
It's a lot for Geno Smith and the Seahawks.
7.5 is a lot of points, but I do think the Seahawks. I'll go with the Seahawks because I think they can win this game.
Yeah, I'm gonna go.
It's a lot of points, but I'll go to Seahawks.
I'm gonna go Rams. I have a hard time trusting Seahawks with that many.
Man, they're so injured though. A lot of injuries in LA. All right, Dolphins 49ers. They switched it to prime time. We'll be watching this prime time game.
You're welcome,
obviously,
Gabe. We gave you
Mike
the prime
McDaniel,
time.
Mike McDaniel coming back to his home, even though the Dolphins are pretty much all 49ers. We have Wes Welker as a head coach. We have Mozart. We have all these guys come from San Francisco. Give me the Dolphins, man. Dolphins on the road. You know what? We can win this game. This is a winnable game. As long as everybody's healthy, we can win this game. Give me the Dolphins on the road.
This is a tough one. This is really tough because you got the Niners defense, which is stout.
Yeah.
JoJo's got McCaffrey.
Bro, McCaffrey.
That Dolphins O-line has been shaky, dude.
And also noted that Armstead is out with the
I did hear that Armstead's out
with a bicep. So, I don't forget as a shoulder injury. He should be out for the next couple of weeks.
Nick Bosa might have a fucking game, and unless Mike McDaniels can really scheme up and get the ball out quick.
Hey man, you know what? Yo, I'm feeling it. Let's go Dolphins.
Oh, let's go!
You gotta believe we're on this side, Gabe.
I'm gonna go Dolphins with the spread. I still don't know if they win though. I can't make a decision if they win.
I think the Dolphins.
I think the Dolphins.
You know what's crazy, Gabe? The amount of times we put faith in his team.
You guys never put faith in my team.
I believed in Jacksonville for about 6-8 weeks.
No, you
I believe
them. No, you
8 weeks.
Not.
I believe them.
No
you guys have been trashing my. You guys picked them maybe 1 or 2 times. I picked the Dolphins way more than you guys picked the Jags.
Gabe and I probably picked them 6 out of 8 times, and every time we picked them, we've been let down.
Lost.
We've been let down every time.
You lowered my record. You're Jacksonville Jaguars lowered my record, but guess what? Dolphins
I'm still picking the Dolphins. I genuinely don't know if they win.
You know what, yo, Julian? You know what? We don't want you on this side. Pick San Francisco.
The train has left the station. You cannot. You know what I mean? It's a tough road game, but you know what? I believe in my Dolphins.
Here's the thing: if anybody knows how to dissect Mike McDaniel's offense, it's San Francisco defense.
Makes sense.
True. That makes sense.
I give you that. It makes sense.
Let's transition. Chargers at Raiders. I think this is also a historic
division matchup. Raiders suck. I'm gonna keep it simple. Let me go Chargers. Chargers aren't that good either this season.
They're so hurt. Who's playing?
I was listening to something, and this made so much more sense. The Chargers are it's the epitome of just being underwhelmed constantly.
Yo, that's a fact.
They always are supposed to be good. Even all those years with Phillip Rivers, those 15 years with him, they're just the epitome of just underwhelming constantly. They never live up to their potential.
Yo, I don't know. They have a good team. They have good run. They have a big arm, right? They're a good show.
They've always been like that.
But
they've always been like that.
Don't get the wins, man.
They've always been like that. Even like I said, even the Phillip Rivers years, they always have this potential, but they never do anything with it.
I had to drop Mike Williams because he's hurt. He's injured. Man, let me go with the Raiders, man. I'm going with the Raiders. Chargers are so hurt. Those LA teams are so hurt, man. Give me the Raiders. I don't think the Raiders are a good team this year. All right? They're not.
I think they have bad coaching.
But give me the Raiders at home. Las Vegas.
The Raiders are a good team. They're poorly coached. Give me the Raiders though.
Nah, I'm gonna stick by the Chargers.
You still Chargers, man. And Herbert, we trust. All right, Chiefs Bengals. Obviously AFC rivalry. This is a repeat of.
This is a good.
Championship. Give me the Chiefs easy. Chiefs on the road, 2.5 points.
I'm sorry.
Why is it so close? Is there some injury that I don't know about on the Kansas City?
They're probably just going back.
I mean, the Bengals they've been stepping it up. Bengals are on a 3-game win streak.
Oh man,
they're 7-4.
We always complain about
without their best receiver, without Jamar Chase. He's been out injury. Yep, and they on the 3-game
win streak though. So, and you're out.
Man, give me the Chiefs easy. Give me
Chiefs are still way better. I'm sorry. Chiefs are way better.
We always complain about the points being so high. Minus 2.5 points. That's easy money. Pound the Chiefs. Julian, what do you got?
He wants Bengals. Just say it, bro.
Yeah, give me Bengals.
Yeah, I know. Just say it. I want it. Just say it, bro.
I'll take Bengals with the money line. I think they win the game outright.
I knew it. I already knew it.
So, Kansas City has to drop one eventually, and it's gonna.
Anyways, Colts at Cowboys. Give me the 10.5 points. That's a lot of points. This is a game that I don't want to bet. I think the Cowboys will win. I don't want to bet it though. That's a lot of points. But give me the Cowboys. I think
Yo, the
supposed to win.
Cowboys' last 2 wins, they won by over 10 points both games. So
You think that's why it's so high?
probably.
Yeah,
Yo,
I mean, that is why it's so high. But man, those points scare me.
bro, yo, I don't play no scared money game out here. Yo, give me the Cowboys.
Give me the Cowboys.
All right, we're all Cowboys. I believe we're all Cowboys. All right, Saints Bucks NFC.
Oh shit, yo,
matchup.
Tampa always has bad luck with the Saints.
Saints.
You want the Saints? Oh man, you
Can't
believe in
go.
Andy Dalton?
Saints.
I don't know,
believe in
man.
that Saints defense.
Man,
I don't
Bucks
know,
at home
man.
though.
Bucks ain't looking good, bro. I haven't heard Tom Brady name all season,
Oh,
except
I'll
for
trade him
when
for
they're
you.
shit talking him.
I trade
I
him
think
back.
Tom
to you.
Brady actually has the most passing yards in the league right now.
What?
No. Okay. I was about to say, you say passing yards, but not QBR or completion rating because
Yeah, I think the passing
that
yards.
belongs to Tua.
He's definitely in like the.
That belongs to Tua.
Y'all going for the Saints? I'm gonna go with the Bucks at home. They got to win a game. But if you want to believe in Andy Dalton, it's up to you. So that's it. That's it for the Monday game. The Saints at Bucks. That's the last game of the week. Let's talk. The biggest sports in the world besides football is football.
Biggest event.
It's going on right now. Obviously, we had a.
How was that, guys?
Not that great. Not
Pretty
that
good?
great.
Not that great.
Let's talk football because we didn't get a chance to talk last week. We record, but let's talk about our updates. So what you thought so far this season? We saw a game yesterday. Finally, USA beats Iran. There's a bunch of games today. Argentina scores 2 goals over. Was it? They play Poland today.
Poland.
Mexico. They were
I
on the thing.
saw a little of the Australian
Yo.
game.
Let's talk about overall. Let's talk about the World Cup overall. Going into this,
Want to talk USA first, or
let's talk USA. Julian, I'll go with you. You're a resident soccer expert. Let's talk USA going into this World Cup, and then so far we've seen, like we said, we already saw Iran lost to USA. But let's Julian, I'll go with you first. Let's talk USA football.
Yeah, I mean, this is a big achievement. Obviously, USA missing the World Cup in 2018 was catastrophic for the sport in this country. And to come back and not only make the World Cup, but to then get out of the group and do what you're supposed to do with the talent that you have, let's just, congratulate them for, getting to the second round. Now they're going to go on and face the Netherlands, which I'm a little optimistic about that game because Netherlands isn't the same team as they were the past 2 World Cups. They've lost a lot of their star players due to retirement, like Van Persie and Robin and all that. So the Netherlands team isn't what they used to be. But the Netherlands are still undefeated in the past 19 games. They are 13. They're 14-5, 14-0-5.
No shot. That's wow.
So still going to be a tough team, but it's a beatable team, not the same team that they were the previous World Cups when they made it to the semifinals and the quarterfinals. But USA, they came out and did what they had to do. I think they still have a problem in the attack. They still can't finish games. Obviously, only 1 goal against Wales. They went 0-0 against England, which
that was a win.
They should have scored. They should have scored on a couple of them, and then they had the one Christian Pulisic goal.
Yeah.
Against Iran. And then is it Iran or Iran?
Hey, they're very particular about how you say Iran.
Iran, I guess. But and then the Timothy Weah goal getting pulled back, just barely being offsides. But I mean, USA. To me, the biggest thing holding them back is the manager. I cannot stand Greg Berhalter. His adjustments and his substitutions have just always been lackluster and always almost cost games so many times, even leading up to this World Cup in qualifying and in Nations League. I think his starting 11 coming into the World Cup has been pretty solid. I just think his subs have been lackluster. For some reason, we still haven't played one of our star players, Gino Reyna, who plays for Dortmund in the Bundesliga. For whatever reason, I don't know. There's been this whole drama going around about is they're saying that he's injured, but then he's coming out saying that he's not injured.
Yeah, he's not limping or whatever.
Yeah, this whole thing, I don't know what's going on there. But I also kind of see like maybe not putting him in the starting 11 because who do you take out of there? Because you have Tyler Adams, Musa, and McKinney. So it's like, who do you get out of there? But he's definitely a piece that you can put in situations during like post halftime. So I thought the first half against Wales was great. I thought England, they played a really solid game. They really owned that game, especially against a top tier team like England, who was in the finals for the Euros just last year. They just need to finish, man. They don't have a true number 9. Me and JoJo watched the game yesterday. I was over at his house. Yeah. USA is missing that lethal killer at the top of the point who can just score. Obviously, Christian Pulisic has came up huge. USA's only scored 2 goals this World Cup cycle so far, and he's been involved in 2. He had the assist in the first game against Wales, and now he had the goal coming in. But they still need that guy up top. Josh Sargent hasn't been that guy. He's been pretty lackluster. Now he's injured with a rolled ankle. Hopefully by 2026 they can find someone who can really take the reins of that position and just be that guy. But my biggest takeaway so far is just watching this U.S. men's national team. It is a different generation. Like watching these guys play versus watching them play in 2014 and 2010 is night and day. And that has everything to do with the academy systems we built in the U.S., MLS, and other local academies in their cities. The infrastructure is now set up, and it is showing right now. This is by far the best generation that USA has ever had. And it's kind of really cool to watch, honestly. It's cool to watch the USA actually look good. Obviously, now you're coming into these knockout rounds where you're going to get tough teams, and you're going to have to switch up the way you play because now they're going to have to play a little bit more transition ball, playing a little bit more of a mid-block, and try to score off there and not play so much possession like you were in CONCACAF and qualifying when you were the top dog. Now you're against these other guys who are higher ranks than you and have better rosters than you. So now you're going to have to kind of switch up the way you play. And I'm really curious to see how Berhalter does that.
Yeah.
But yeah, what do you think, Gabe?
I mean, I want to talk to JoJo because obviously, I mean, you had I didn't watch the whole game, so I just seen like the highlights of it. JoJo, how do you feel about, obviously they played Iran, they advanced. I have a different perspective than Julian. So JoJo, I want to get your perspective first of like, how do you feel they performed so far? Like, obviously you have, you tie Wales, you draw England, and then you win against Iran. Like, do you feel like USA is like legitimate? Like, do you think they have a legitimate chance to advance? Like, how do you feel of their performance so far in the World Cup?
Yeah, I mean, hey, guess what? We haven't lost yet, right? So they're doing something right. But to Julian's point, man, they don't have that killer instinct. And we were watching the game yesterday. I'm not really into soccer like that, but I was trying to get involved, trying to see what's going on. And they controlled possession majority of the game. So they were in complete control. Now, they just couldn't take advantage of the opportunities that were given to them to score these goals. Like, they were just kind of all over the place. The timing was off. But again, like you can tell they were putting a great effort out there. And granted, we tied the first game with Wales. But the guy, what's his name?
Gareth Bale. Yeah.
Gareth Bale, one of the best players in the world, right? He came out and, tied the game up, right? As you'd expect, the best player on the field showed up. Now,
but they did score in a penalty kick. USA hasn't allowed a goal in a field of play.
Okay, so that's fair. That's fair, yeah. And then to bounce back from that, to go against England, which is a powerhouse, and to get the job done. The goal was to win or tie, but more ultimately to tie. And I'm actually completely shocked. Like, I think that was the reason why we're moving on to the next round. I think that tie was bigger than yesterday's win, even though the win is what secured the deal to get them forward. But that tie was bigger than yesterday's win against Iran, which you're expected to win that game. I think it's only up from here, like Julian was saying. The team is not looking bad. There's a few things they got to work on, maybe like the coaching. They had possession, like I mentioned before, but they have to take advantage of these goal opportunities. And look, yesterday, man, like they got that goal, but at what cost? Look at that setup. Like,
but I will say, man, that was
you know what I mean? Like, there's got to be an easier way to get some goals than to sacrifice your best player on the field.
That was a beautiful play, though. If you go back and watch that pass to from Weston McKennie to Serginho Dest to then head it into the cross, that pass that he made was just unreal. To get that projection and that speed and that placement to then get the perfect cross in was beautiful. That was a really good team goal right there. But
that's a good team goal.
It sucks that it looks like Christian Pulisic, he is day-to-day lower abdomen contusion. So
to me, that's
I guess they're also worried about broken rib as well. That's what I heard. But it's going to be tough. He says that he thinks he'll be ready for the game, but I don't know, man. I know he wants to be out there, but it's like if you can't run like you normally can, it might be worth putting out a Brendan Aronson out there to hold it down while he's recovering.
And that's the thing I think going forward. Like, this team is very young, and there's the big talk is like all these guys are going off. They're playing in the European League. They're playing in
Premier League.
The Premier League. Let's say EPL. Whatever. English.
Yeah, same thing.
Yeah, same thing. So
European Premier
there's
League.
I think there's a lot of
English Premier League.
English.
Oh, my bad. No,
I think there's a lot of hype of these young guys.
A lot of people will be pissed by that.
There's a lot of hype of these guys going forward. But I don't think there's a lot of expectations. Like, I don't know in general. Like I started this, Julian. You talked about how U.S. team is doing pretty well for them. I think like right now at this point in the game, obviously we're recording this on a Wednesday. They're gonna play on Saturday. I think at this point, if they lose going forward, like you've accomplished what you wanted to accomplish. I don't think there's a lot of expectations. This is not like the USA, the men's team. There's not a lot of expectations of them to be dominant, right? You expect dominance? France, Spain, Brazil. These are the big teams that win all the time. They're always competitive. They have the best players in the world. With this team, a young team who always disappoints, I think just getting out of the group, it is an accomplishment. It should be celebrated. But also, you should have beat Wales. You should have, the fact that you won, you drew draw against England. I think to me is a win. Like, that's the best scenario. They didn't get outscored by like
it was a
7-0, like how we've seen in World Cup, these surprise upsets where they score 7 points or something. But for me, getting out of the group,
like you're targeting me.
Getting out of the group is an accomplishment. That's my point. So I have a different perspective than Julian. Getting out of the group is an accomplishment. Yes, it should be celebrated. But also, beat Wales. You beat Iran 1-0. That's fine. You tie England. I still don't have high prospects of it. So I feel like we're playing with cash money right now. We're playing with the house money. We gambled, and now this is free money. This is whatever happens after this.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. I think you did what you needed to do. You need to get out the group. You should have won that England game, realistically. I mean, man, they had some opportunities there that they just couldn't put away. But all I'm saying is I think there's a shot against Netherlands. I don't know if they win the game. I think Netherlands is a more experienced team, clearly. I just think there's a chance. Will it happen? I don't know. To me, like I said, the biggest thing holding back the U.S. men's national team is the manager, Greg Berhalter. I think his tactics are subpar. His substitutions, his roster management, it's just, I think, could be a lot better.
And one thing I learned, too, like this year, like you tell me, because I don't follow soccer, especially world soccer, but now they've increased actually the amount of substitutions you can do, right? You're supposed to be 3. So now I think it's like 5 substitutions.
It's 5 now, yeah.
Yeah, so, obviously a big hurt, Pulisic, a big guy. Obviously, he went to Chelsea. I think they won the EPL recently. So for him to be hurt, hopefully he can come back by Saturday. I don't know if he's going to be running at speed. To me, he's like maybe not a start, but maybe possibly if he can recover. I don't know what he's dealing with, but maybe he can sub in later, get some fresh legs in there. at the start.
I think if he can do it, do it. But I'm also wouldn't be like me personally. I don't think it would be the worst thing in the world to put in Brendan Aronson over him. But obviously you want your guy. You know, he's the big fish in the small pond. He's the cash. He's the big player. Yeah. He's the star. Like, you know, you want him in there. And if he could do it, great. But I mean, yeah. But let's move on to the rest of the table. So what were some of your biggest? Obviously, there's still, I believe, 2 more days. Yeah, 2 more days left before we go to the round of 16. Half the table's pretty much set. Tomorrow we're gonna get group D and E or C. Yeah, D and E, and then E and F and G and H. Then we're gonna finish that out, and then go into Saturday for the round of 16. But yeah, who's been your favorite so far after watching everybody? Obviously, there's been a lot of upsets, but who you're rooting for now? Even in those other rounds, even in those other groups that are not pretty much set yet, they're still like, you kind of know like Brazil's going to come out of there. You know Portugal's going to get out of there. Who do you got?
I think my favorite going forward. I mean, obviously Brazil, obviously number one. Brazil's like the Yankees. Like everybody expects the most out of them. They had the best team. Obviously, Neymar being out with a swollen ankle. I don't know what the status update on his leg is. I know he was seen walking around Qatar.
Yeah, I mean they're clinched.
Yeah,
they're in there. Yeah.
So I think Brazil obviously is the heavy favorite to go forward. But I think one of the most surprises like Japan. Like Japan. Where they beat Germany.
Facts.
Crazy. Like that's one of the craziest. Like, you know, as far as men's soccer, like that's like one of the most things I never expected. Like I watched soccer when it was like, I can't even tell you. I'm not even disrespect you by saying the name awfully wrong because I don't speak Dutch. But yeah, I know Germany is a powerhouse, and for Japan to beat them, it's like. This is like, you know,
yeah.
This is like the fun stuff of watching.
Japan's got some talent, though. A lot of people sleep on Japan. They got some talent. They've been exporting a lot of players, kind of like United States, over to Europe, and it's been doing pretty well. But yeah, that obviously you expect Germany to beat Germany and win that. And then they get a pretty pretty bad game, honestly, against Spain in a tie. Germany's been very mid, which makes me feel very comfortable about my country, Costa Rica. To be back in the mix is honestly an achievement in and of itself. Like to go down 7-0 against Spain, which I don't rate Spain very high. People don't have Spain as favorites going to win it all. They're a top European nation, but they're not the Spain that they used to be in 2010 when they won it. They're still like a young team, still trying to figure it out. So the fact that we lost 7-0 to them, to me, is a disappointment. Sure, maybe we lose that game, but I expect that game to be a lot closer because Spain is not that great, and Spain has lost games against worse opponents and has had tighter games against worse. One of Spain's biggest problems is not being able to finish. So, like, seeing that 7-0 game was shocking to me. But then for Costa Rica to come back and bounce back and get that victory over Japan was just absolutely huge. So now the group is really close right now. You have Spain at 4, Japan at 3, Costa Rica at 3, and Germany at 1. Yeah. So that leaves, which gives Costa Rica a really realistic chance to move on, which to our nation, like that's like winning the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
You move on to the next round. Like we've only ever did that one other time, and that was in 2014 when they made it that magical run to the quarterfinals and upset the group of death. So, and it's a really realistic chance. Germany has been very mid. Costa Rica, I think, could pull out a 0-0 tie. Spain should beat Japan, which is probably going to be a given. Yeah. Costa Rica could make it, which would be crazy to make it out of this group, which would be an incredible achievement.
That'll be dope.
It's really going to come down to them if they can pull off that tie against Germany. I do expect Japan to lose. And Germany needs to win to stay alive. Germany doesn't win, they have to win. They can't afford a draw. So that's going to be really interesting to see. The rest of the groups, they're pretty much actually Group F is going to be interesting between Belgium, Croatia, and Morocco. Those are all still in the hunt.
I think Canada it's their first
got
time
eliminated.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's their first time.
Sadly,
World Cup, yeah.
Especially topping World Cup qualifying. They had the best record coming out of World Cup qualifying, and they just got swept. Obviously, they had tough games against Croatia and Belgium, which are two really good squads. Obviously, Croatia in 2018 going on that crazy run to the finals. That's going to be really interesting.
What about Friday, the matchup, the H and G group? Because I see Portugal.
So Brazil's pretty much locked in. Switzerland should advance. They only have Switzerland. Cameroon and Serbia have 1 point. Who does Switzerland play?
Switzerland plays Serbia.
Yeah, they should advance. And then you have Portugal, which should advance as well. And then you have Ghana
versus Uruguay,
which is at 3 points. Uruguay and South Korea have honestly been, for me, like really big disappointments. I expected Uruguay to come out and advance, but doesn't look like they're going to. We'll see, obviously. Who does Uruguay? Uruguay plays Ghana. So, I mean, they play Ghana. If you beat Ghana, and then I guess Uruguay has a chance. You just got to you got to put, but they haven't
put up points. You got to you got to score.
Yeah, I mean, you have to. I mean, so it's possible, and then you got to hope that Portugal doesn't rest. So,
and so Jojo, I'm going to ask you this question because it seems like, especially when they're in this tournament, when there's a tie, what they do is what's it called, Julian? A friendly
goal differential or what?
No. So if there's a tie between teams, what they look at is I think it's called play friendly or something, depending on how many penalties you have. Like if you let's say you're
talking about the game today,
the tiebreakers.
Okay, so obviously I don't know if you guys watched the games today. That was super intense. Seeing the game between Poland and Argentina. Super close game. Poland really needed to stay in it. Argentina, obviously, it was a must-win game. They had to win. And then Mexico going up 2-0 and was literally Mexico and Poland were tied on the same amount of points, same goal differential.
So Mexico needed to win.
Same goals scored.
Wow.
It got so tight that it had to break down to what they call fair play tiebreaker, which is based off the amount of yellow cards.
Penalties. How many penalties do you have?
No, yellow cards.
Yeah,
it was yellow card. So how many yellow cards you have. And I was like, wow.
So is that how
never
Mexico
seen
lost?
No, Mexico ended up losing because they choked at the final minute and Saudi Arabia scored again, which pretty much clinched it for Poland.
Eliminated.
But yeah, Mexico, if Saudi Arabia didn't score, Mexico would have still been eliminated because Poland had the advantage with only 5 yellow cards to Mexico's 7 yellow cards. Damn. So it broke down to so many tiebreakers to where that was the final one.
And Jojo, I don't know how you feel about that, like in general, because we can talk about NBA, right? Like, sometimes in the NBA when you have like technical fouls, if you get it and they carry over into the playoffs. So like if you hit a certain amount, they'll like suspend you for whatever
suspensions,
4 games. So,
the same thing happens in soccer. You get so many yellow cards, you get suspended.
So I mean, this I'm not an avid soccer player. Obviously, Julian, you're our resident expert here.
Soccer expert.
So this was interesting for me to hear, like, how even if they tied in points, they're like, let's look at the penalties. How many penalties you get then?
Yeah, it broke down a lot because normally goal differential is the first tiebreaker, and then it's goals scored, which was still the same. Then it's head to head, and it's still the same because they tied.
So it was like, like how many, what are all the rules all the way down? Like, okay, penalties.
So
you have too many penalties.
All Mexico needed to do was score one more time. So, man, one of my friends and coworkers that I work with, he's Polish and he's a big Poland fan, and he said, man, my ass cheeks were clenching that whole time because he's like, it was so close because especially when Argentina scored that second goal. Now it's like down the yellow cards. Then Poland got another yellow card. He's like, "Oh my god!" He's like, "It's getting." But obviously, once that game, Argentina-Poland game ended first, so it swapped over to the Mexico game. And then as soon as it swapped over, you see Saudi Arabia hit him on the transition and just score. And he's like, "Oh my god!"
Yeah.
So Poland then advances, even though they didn't really do anything against Argentina. But the Polish goalie went absolutely nuts this game. He went, even though they allowed 2 goals. He had
a big block against Messi.
13 saves. He blocked Messi's PK.
Yeah.
Like, pretty crazy. So I'm really excited to see the round of 16. Group play has been pretty fun. It's kind of sad that it's going to start not happening every day anymore because everybody's
now you got to be more patient and enjoy every game while it's there.
My favorite, we can end it right here. My pick is still Brazil. Brazil is just way too fucking deep. They're so goddamn deep. And my number 2 would be France.
I would agree with that. Heavy favorites. I'm gonna go with the heavy favorites. I'm not a big
unless you got a sleeper team that might come out of nowhere and beat them. But who I'm rooting for is Argentina because I feel like Messi definitely deserves.
That's his last.
You
know what I mean.
It is his last.
Road. He doesn't have the easiest road to get there, but this is it. This is his last shot. So.
Yeah, and I'm rooting for Argentina. I wouldn't necessarily call them a sleeper team because they are a contender, but I'm rooting for Argentina. But realistically, I think Brazil's got it. It's been way too long where Brazil hasn't won a World Cup. But
we'll have it, man.
It's gonna go nuts.
Yeah, man. He'll probably win the World Cup, and then we'll have him down here for Fort Lauderdale.
Yeah, have him in
Fort Lauderdale,
right here on Biscayne Bay, having the parade.
Hopefully, jeez, hopefully.
So we'll have that. We're gonna watch the game Saturday. Obviously, we're recording this early in the week. We'll watch the game Saturday. We'll be rooting for America. But like I said, I think they're playing with house money. So whatever happens, win or lose, I think it's been a successful World Cup. But we'll have that here next week. Real Fans Podcast. We appreciate all the downloads, all the subscriptions. We thank you for all the things y'all are connecting with us, hitting us up. We appreciate all that. Julian, tell them where they can find all the things.
You can find us on anywhere you get your podcasts. We are on
anywhere.
Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Pocket Cast, YouTube, anywhere you get your podcasts. Also on all the social media platforms, we will be there. Guys.
Right here next week, Real Fast Podcast. We appreciate it, man. We'll see y'all next week.
Peace.
Peace.